10 laws from power so powerful they should be banned. But that's not all. There's also a summary of each law, my explanation, a practical case, and perhaps some personal anecdotes too, depending on the law. And above all, as a bonus, if you stay until the end, I'm adding an 11th law. Let's start straight away with the first law that should be banned. Law number 2. Don't trust your friends. Use your enemies. What does this mean? It means that in life, you can either be peaceful through lies or you can be productive through frustration. In life, you are surrounded by people who have more or less the same level of failure and success as you. That's why you never make more progress than when you're alone behind the computer. If you have the opportunity to be with a successful person, that person's intelligence will be to surround himself with haters. Why am I telling you this? Because if you're surrounded by people who say, "Oh, you're so handsome, Mark," "Oh, bravo, John," you don't grow. What makes us grow is adversity. So, a better future is having better enemies on your side. The second law, so powerful it should be banned, is law number 4. Always say less than you need to. This is a law, I think, that has given me the best ROI. So basically, the best return on investment. And why is that? Because since I've been quiet, since I've been keeping my mouth shut, people have been giving me credit for qualities that I haven't yet demonstrated. Maybe the reason you're not taken seriously enough these days is that you're always putting yourself forward, bragging, explaining to people what you've learned recently and what they don't know yet, when in fact, what works best, at least in my case, is to keep quiet. Because in fact, if you keep quiet, people will take an interest in you. That's how it is. It's a human law. The less interested you show, the more interesting you become. It's the same with a couple. Seduction is sales. It's all the same. Friendships are sales. If your body doesn't bring you enough friendship, laughter, loyalty, intelligence, good remarks, great discussions, moments in life that don't exist with anyone else, in fact, he's no longer your body and you're going to say that you've grown up. That will be the excuse. But the truth is, it's no longer worth spending time with him. The less you say, the more the discussion about you will start when you leave the room. That's the way we play it. We're not there to monopolize the conversation. The one who talks the most is the one who has the most to prove. The best people are the ones who keep quiet. Strangely enough, the less you pay attention to people, the less you talk to people, the less effort you make. The more you're the hot girl in the group, the more the others will dig you. This third law is so powerful that it should be banned from the power book. Be unpredictable and look like the opposite of the cliches people have about your clothes, your skin color, your vocabulary, your communication, and your generosity. I will take a few communities as examples, starting with Arabs. It's tracksuits, it's smoking drugs, it's excessive raps, it's words in Arabic slipped in everywhere. If you're Arab, you should wear a 3-piece suit most of the time. Speak in a way that makes yourself understood, but with respect for the words. I agree with Sert that we build ourselves through words. So be unpredictable, and what I love, what I appreciate, is when you are an effect of contrast. If you're Arab, when you are in a tracksuit in the street, you go everywhere. People almost wonder if you speak English. Can you imagine the level of knowledge you manage to hide? And if you need to go and see the film Napoleon to believe in your destiny, to believe that you are exceptional, do it. Let me ask you a question. How many Arabs have you seen in the street dressed in a 3-piece suit? Just like that. I'm not even talking about books, investing in crypto, owning a flat, a car park, a garage, having communities of hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people for some, and so on. I'm not even talking about skill, I'm just talking about appearance. Frankly, I don't see any, man. I don't see any. Same thing, how many blacks have you seen around you with a good situation? Someone earning maybe more than $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month around you? Frankly, man, I hardly know any. I might know one or two, but that's online. The rest, I don't know. Why don't you? Because it's not promoted. On the other hand, most of the black people I know in my circle have had I don't know how many love affairs, do I don't know how many sports sessions a week, and haven't studied. You have to look like the opposite of the cliché of your generation. The same goes for whites. We've done a bit of everything. I'm going to do the whites. How many have 5 years of combat sport behind them? How many have perhaps more than 10 ex-girlfriends behind them? How many have more than 190 pounds of muscle? To be perfectly honest, I hardly know any of them because each community has its own cliches. It's not racist to say that. I clashed myself just before. It's the truth. We're here for the facts. We're here for what's real. If we don't agree with current politicians on the reality of the situation, and if we don't also agree with breaking up our own community, which is a problem of some at the very top, we won't be able to move forward. You have to be able to face reality. If I got out of the poorest, it's because at some point there was a first stage of realizing the pattern I was using. Basically, what got you here? They put the word coherence between intelligence, except that's them. But you have to look like a sick person. You have to look like a mad person. Even today, people think I'm crazy. Those close to me think I'm crazy. They think that everything I've built up can be taken away overnight. They don't believe it because it's virtual. That's the sentence. But on the other hand, when they spend their lives on YouTube, it's not virtual. On the other hand, when they watch television, it's not virtual. On the other hand, when they go on dating sites, it's not virtual. When they order on Amazon, it's not virtual. Amazon doesn't exist for them if you follow their logic. Can you see how stupid they are? But the problem is that these people, unfortunately, as you get to know them, you start to understand them. I don't want to understand them. It's no longer profitable to think only in terms of yourself and these books. As one comment said, and I liked it very much, it's the intelligence of books and the rage of the street. The first law of the power book is so powerful that it should be banned is law number 22. Surrender in time. Our failures come from habits at the end of the race. Basically, they are the end of the race. For example, video games. Over the last 3 years that I've been playing video games, I've no longer experienced any pleasure from playing video games. It was just better than doing nothing, and I didn't want to study or work. I wasn't disciplined enough about it. So I played video games. But in fact, it was like a band-aid, but I wasn't enjoying it. There are people around me who smoke. These people, when they smoke, perhaps the last 2,000 cigarettes, feel virtually no desire before, during, or after. The same goes for junk food. For example, for years you've been saying to yourself, I would love to eat organic, I would love to cook healthily. But what does Sun Tzu say? Sun Tzu says that an expeditious defeat is preferable to years of wandering until a slow agony and nothing after. The black hole. After me, the black hole, you might say. Most of what you believe is shit. Most of what you do is pointless. It's in Richard Koch's 80-20 principle. What's more intelligent? Above all, it's to raise the white flag and turn back. Don't be afraid of looking like the usual loser, smooth talker, hustler, whatever. No, it's the survival of the company. It's your survival. The others don't give a damn about you. The others, it's the time of a message, a hello, it's fine, and so on. Even people you think are invested in your career, which for me doesn't exist, they do it more out of ego for themselves and sometimes just out of curiosity to see if you're going to fail or not. In fact, whether you turn back or not, the proof is in the pudding. Try to turn back on something small. For example, if you're in the gym, say that you're actually going to stop working out and take up a combat sport. People don't give a damn. It doesn't affect anyone. Everyone has their own problems, perhaps even bigger problems than you. So don't stop yourself from daring to do new things, from risking more for fear of what people will say about you. This is mainly a bias when you have a lot of social life through your studies or when you work, a little less so when you're behind the computer like me. But when you're studying or working, your best mates, you think they're going to be your best mates for the rest of your life, and everyone thinks they're different. Everyone thinks it's going to be different for them and everything. Do you still see the friends you had when you were 12 every weekend? The fifth law, so powerful in the power book that it should be banned, censored, is changing your skin. You have to be able to talk to everyone, but make yourself understood by everyone. That's something I use myself. You've got your morals and you can't let them stray a thread, because if you do, they will be wrong. People have a sixth sense about that. You can tell when someone is lying. You can tell when someone is cutting corners. You can tell when someone is not saying what they mean, when they're trying to manipulate you. You can tell. So, I take the approach that a lot of people don't like me. That's the approach I'm inviting you to take too. When you talk, no one can blame you for anything, and that's your honesty. When you talk, it shows, it comes from the gut. You've got the eyes, you've got the look, you've got the emotion, you've got the voice, you've got the flow that increases. That's how to be a great speaker. You see it with Fabrice Divisio and Eric Zemmour, for example. They're not 6'6" hunks who could make it in Hollywood, and yet, when they speak, you listen. Why do you listen? Because they have a way of speaking, and above all, a way of looking at things and a belief in what they say that is above the suspicion of their detractors. Your intelligence, once you've worked on your substance in terms of your form, is to use analogies to make yourself understood by anyone. If I go and talk about books to someone who is really into sport, really into working out, what am I going to say? I'm going to say, you see, it's very, very good to work on the form, the aesthetics, but above all, you also need to work on the intellect, the substance. We agree that the guy can't take it badly. That's not my problem. As I told you, my job in communications is to get ideas across. Then, number two, I say to him, you should have the same reasoning, because at the end of the day, you already have a fabulous work ethic. Right now, it's perhaps a little unbalanced. Unbalanced is a good word to make you understand. In sport, try to see life in terms of a gauge. The first metaphor, and tell yourself that, for each sports session where you're going to lift maybe, 100 times 20 pounds, try also when you get home to read 100 pages of power. The person will understand. It's the same logic. You're going to say to him, look, intellect, the ability to reason, knowledge, information, and training are just as important as sport. Do you agree or disagree with me? First, yes. Well, yes. And then you say, in that case, don't you think you could perhaps, when you do 5 sessions of sports, it might also be nice to do 5 sessions of reading as well, for example, or 5 sessions of journaling. You're also giving him another option, a counter option. You see, you offer a choice. All these sessions you set up mean a lot to you. It means that, first and foremost, you respect yourself and have a terrific work ethic. What's more, you have a long-term vision that is developed through sport. You didn't stop at the first sports session. Now it's part of your life. It must be the same at an intellectual level. And then you will look like the top 1%. Who in the room you think reads so many books? Who? Can you imagine what you will look like in the future, so strong as you are, Arnold type with, for example, the verbal jousting or the knowledge of Idris Aberkan, even if for me it's a bit overrated, but the knowledge of Idris Aberkan. Can you imagine? The person is going to go crazy. You can even make them want you a bit more. You know that afterwards you could also federate a community, make videos, you could have more skills, you could attract a lot more people. People will ask you for advice. You could be a coach, whether in your gym, but even on the internet with real activity on the networks, because people will love you. You are going to be an effect of contrast. Even if the person doesn't understand, you tell them their terms. You tell them you're going to be an effect of contrast. The aim is to be as uncompetitive as possible. If you have done the grind on both sides, who's going to come looking for you? No one can. That's where you reinforce it. Of course, you have to be sincere, okay? Here, I've done it for you. That's it. It's all fake, alright? I don't know the person and all. It could be a speech that I could adapt to a person if I really believe in it. Because, once again, we're not here to hurt people. Can you see how dangerous this book is? Because I've just applied power for 2 minutes. A little tip from a pro. If the person you're talking to is very self-centered, you can see straight away that they're only talking about themselves and all that. Use anecdotes that you know about them, either that you have heard or that you have lived with. The sixth law, so powerful it should be banned from the book, The 48 Laws of Power, is be bold. Write this sentence down. Fuck your shyness. Every day you say, fuck my shyness. Every day. Because as they say in the tribe of mentors, everything you want is behind more fear. To take up the tribe of mentors, I'm just going to use the word tribe from Seth Godin's book. He says that wherever there is a discomfort, there is in fact an opportunity for you and me, the leaders of tomorrow or the leaders of today for some, to take the lead and embody change, to embody the smashing of the heads of the status quo. We're here to be different from others because, in fact, people are asking for change. They don't have the courage for change. What they do need, however, is at least a band aid. In other words, they need to know someone who is in the process of changing in order to tell their story. If you do a lot of things, if you take a lot of risk, if your life is much fuller than others, I am convinced that your friends say a lot more about you than you imagine. That's the truth. They're not going to talk about themselves. Sometimes I'm with friends, whether they're guys or girls, and most of the time they tell me stories about other friends of theirs. What the hell is going on here? Take stock of where your shyness has led you. You can write down maybe 10 actions, 10 scenarios, 10 situations, 10 memories where you were too shy to do the thing anyway. I think that at least 9 out of 10 you should still have done it. You should still have approached that girl, even if it's awkward or whatever. For years, I have approached all the prettiest girls I've met on the street. Not once did I get a bad attitude, a bad look, or an insult or anything from women at any time. Sometimes I stammered, sometimes I stumbled. I will have you know, every time there were smiles, there were jokes, there was a little bit of stress, a little bit of pressure, that's normal. A little bit of unease. Yes, it's normal. We don't know each other. It's very unusual. The aim is not for it to be perfect because in fact you are already pre-validated. The situation is already incredible. If on top of that you dress well, smell nice and have white teeth, that's 20 out of 20. The girl is already going to excuse you. You've already made a bold move. You are already an alpha. And of course, to talk about practical cases or anecdotes, I'm going to talk to you about counterexamples as in Robert Greene's books. In his books, he sometimes shares laws and says exactly where, on the other hand, it doesn't work. The exception that proves the law. Well, it's going to be Ibrahim from the Ibra TV channel, who is in the process of having his eye stitched up and so on. Right now, he's convalescing, recovering. Unfortunately, he had set himself a new challenge, so he was even more daring. He may lose the sight in his left eye at the age of 31. And then the angry people will say, "Oh look, did you see? He should not have done that. It's a good thing that we didn't do anything." But on the other hand, he's a multimillionaire. He's got property, the stock market, crypto, businesses and restaurants to his name, a franchise that works all over France, plus Belgium, plus Switzerland, I think. He's 230 pounds of muscle. He is 6 feet 2, 6 feet 3. He has Ferraris on loan. Do you get Ferraris on loan? I don't either. He's got all the best girls in Paris behind him. He's got quarterly billionaires in his network. I don't have any quarterly billionaires in my network, and so on. And he has inspired a lot of guys. Well, on the other hand, of course, it can't work every time. Make it personal. Sometimes, yes, actually. Sometimes you will break your arm because you've gone too far. You're going to ride a motorbike, you're going to get hit by a car, or you're going to go and see a girl, you're going to be seen as a street stalker, you won't be seen in town, you will be blacklisted, I don't know. You put on a suit, you get robbed because the guys think you're rich. There is always, let's say, the counter example, the backlash. But in the vast majority of cases, I would rather be Ibrahim than my former best friends. I really would, if the bold thing is to live like Ibra TV, but on the other hand, maybe risk losing an eye. Believe me, I will do it. As Benoit Sandon is said, he's a UFC fighter, an MMA fighter. Well, he's extreme. You should not be as extreme as him, unless you're a real fan. He said, "Let's get one thing straight. I would rather die at 60 with a full life, full of adrenaline, like a roller coaster at full speed, but still blown up. That's it, I will die at 60. Than die at 95 in a hospital bed, having lived nothing and clinging on to life, really, as if I had missed everything." These 7 laws, so powerful it should be banned from the Power Book, is be royal. What does this law mean? Be royal. Do we think we're kings? No. It means that, in fact, as Alpha Male Strategies says in his book by the same name, I tolerate no crap. What does that mean? It means that I don't tolerate your childishness. I don't tolerate your stupidity. You respect me. You can be richer than me, smarter than me, surrounded by more people than me, in a relationship, not in a relationship. You can be big, tall, strong, old, really big. You can be famous, whoever you want. But you have to respect me. I won't let you walk all over me. I will be the one who's not afraid to make things uncomfortable, who's not afraid to raise my voice at you so that you will respect me. That's the mentality you need to have. The more you come across as the tough guy on duty, in other words, the guy who's actually calm, cool-headed and so on, the more you have to respect me. But there are times when, in fact, you're not joking. And there are very few men who are capable of doing that. I mean, in everyday life. Either capable of putting the stop to it, of saying stop. No. The guys who were harassed at school, the guys who get stepped on in the street today, or who let themselves be dominated by their boss or whatever, from one day to the next, you're capable of grabbing the guy by the collar. Just grab him by the collar. Tell him today, no, you'll never do that to me again. Never. There was no threat, no blow, you didn't even get angry, you didn't even raise your voice, but it's just, in the eyes. The guy has to understand that you are a tough guy. You won't give up and you will be the one who dares to pull the plug. That's who you will be. You have to be that guy. So being royal doesn't mean showing off. Being royal means there are things you don't let pass you by. The 8th law of power, so powerful it should be banned, is law number 36. Despise annoyances. What does that remind me of? A quote from Anthony Robbins' book Unlimited Power, that small events affect small minds. There's nothing more stupid, moronic, putrid than being pissed off at everything, not letting anything go. Just before, I told you to be royal, but being the tough guy on duty is only for when there is crap going on, when there is childishness and so on. Otherwise, you keep your cool, you don't get upset, and you despise annoyances in the very sense that there are people who attract problems, who love to complain and who, strangely enough, are very poor. Generally, this is also linked to a low IQ. So, we're going to agree straight away. You leave that to people with low IQ. What are low IQ people? IQ exists. I'm not going to repeat myself. What are low IQ people? They are very emotional, short-tempered, people who can't see very far. They are very focused on today, and in fact, every emotion they feel during the day is going to shape their behavior. During the day, sometimes I feel tired, sometimes I feel resentful, sometimes I feel very loved, sometimes I feel very confident, sometimes I have doubts and so on. But on the other hand, I do the work. Maybe I'm feeling tired, maybe I'm feeling too confident, but for all that, I do the work. My emotions don't dictate my behavior. I'm also part of the monk mode sect, but we are not here to watch 150 monk mode videos. At some point, you have to start it. You can start it by watching monk mode videos. It's not possible. You're either a spectator or a player in your life. The ninth law, so powerful it should be banned, is Power's law number 38. Think freely. Speak soberly. It reminds me directly of a definition in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. What people want most is to be important. People have an invisible sign around their necks that says, "Make me important." Imagine people like that in life, and you will see that your social relationships will go much better, even if it's true, you know more than other people. But why? Because we're not muscle machines, okay? If I had read as much as I work out, today, in front of you, I would be a muscle machine. That's also the good thing about knowledge, the fact that we don't wear our knowledge on our faces. People will be much more suspicious of us because they will realize that, yes, it's true, we're more intelligent than they are, but they are the ones who have to act. They are the clowns. Why am I telling you this? Because even though you know more than the others, they are the ones who have to do all the talking. The more they talk, the better they feel. Oh, listen, I'm important. It's almost intellectual masturbation. It's all the same. Not even to say me, I. At one point, when I started reading books, I used this precept of not even using me, I. So it was quite a funny situation. Sometimes I would talk about anecdotes from my life, but without saying that it was I who had lived them, so as not to bruise the other person's ego. I will pass the tip on to you with generosity. It's also a law of power to be generous. I will end with a quote. I think it's from Benjamin Disraeli from How to Win Friends and Influence People. Once again, you will see that all the classics come together. Who says that? I've often regretted talking too much, but I've never regretted listening too much. The 10th law, but not the last, I keep my word on the bonus of course, it's going to be law 40. Don't hesitate to pay the price. I'm going to sum up this law in 3 words so that you really understand. I'm going to talk straight, that's what we're here for. Pay your dues. Pay your fucking dues, man. I'm really fed up with people who get scared as soon as they have to line up a bit of money. But even when it comes to investing in cryptocurrencies, these people are going to shit themselves. Out of $8,000, these people are going to invest maybe, let's say, $300, $400. But do you think you will become a millionaire? Can you imagine the guy's ego? Don't hesitate to invest even more than necessary, because the cost of making a mistake is greater than the satisfaction of saving nothing. And now, as a promise to all those who have stayed until the end, I'm going to reward you with a bonus, an 11th law. Don't be too perfect. Now you're going to tell me, don't be too perfect? That's strange. What do you mean by that? Well, the more perfect you show yourself, the more the person in front of you is going to be suspicious. They're going to have doubts. They're almost going to prepare for a fight. I've already told myself that for my first Thai boxing fight, I'm not registered. I just do it quietly on my own at home from time to time. I've already said to myself that I'm going to try to get there. I'm not going to contract any muscles. I'm going to make myself look like the token noob, so that the guy in front of me doesn't think, fuck, tomorrow I'm really going to struggle. Oh dear, I bet on the strongest of the group. It's going to be really difficult. I bet on the wrong horse. No, Tyson Fury's strategy. It's an insult for athletes to call me athlete. Easy.